Hey guys, another video for the how-to playlist. This is a subject we sort of touched on before with the beehive video, the how-to, the hive video, and also there was another one about being weird in Japan, and I guess a lot of the other videos sort of overlap in one way or another, but I just want to expand on the hive thing. We've talked about in other videos, we've looked at the fact that in Japan there's sort of ways to do things, there's ways that we have to do things, that most people do things here, and we're sort of expected to do the same thing. Probably what I didn't expand on as much as I should have is what that can mean sometimes, or what that can lead to sometimes, and it can lead to people telling you what to do, basically, and they're not really, it's coming from a different place, it's coming from a different mindset. Because of the group mentality or the group thinking, when people tell you what to do in Japan, it's because they're being kind, and it's seen just totally differently. So, you know, for example, in Australia, and I imagine in a lot of other countries, if you're doing something and it's your thing, you're doing something at your house, or you're doing something in your garden, or you're doing something at your car, or you're just doing something, your thing, and someone comes along and tells you that you should do it differently, you know, it makes us uncomfortable, right? It can make us uncomfortable. It can make us feel uncomfortable. It makes us feel insulted, you know. So I'll give you an example. I'll give you a couple of examples. One of them was, and this is what's brought it up, is I've had a couple of examples of it recently. One of them was I was burning some rubbish at the old house, and burning some old wood and some old paper and things, because it's in this little town, it's still an acceptable thing to do. And a neighbour saw, well, I was talking to a neighbour, while I was talking to her, she saw a pile of rubber that I'd put to one side, because of course, you know, I wasn't going to put rubber in the fire because, you know, it makes toxic smoke, and, you know, you don't put rubber in the fire, do you? Anybody that's been in Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, or anybody over 5 years old, is probably aware that you don't put rubber in fire, right? So I'd put the rubber to one side so that, you know, because I wasn't going to put it in the fire. So while I'm talking to her, she looks at it and says to me, "Don't put that in the fire because it will make a bad smell." Now, you know, in Australia, or I imagine a lot of other countries, you know, if someone said that to you, you'd say, "Duh," you know, I'm not stupid, you know, duh. Or, you know, or maybe if you're more polite than me, maybe you'd just feel that. You know, if someone tells you something obvious like that, you just feel, well, you know, obviously. But here, your response to that sort of thing must be, "Oh, thank you very much. Yes, that's true, isn't it? Yes, yes, thank you very much, and that's right," and very agreeable, right? So you're soda ne, oh soda ne, arigato, you know, and thank them for reminding you of that thing. It's because the Japanese group thinking thing is, if everybody's thinking together, that they consider it's more efficient. And I've actually seen studies on this. There's actually been studies. A lady at an American university, can't remember her name, she's a sociologist, very famous, she's blind, and I saw a speech she did on this once, and she was talking about this, and it's the Japanese way of approaching problems and approaching difficulties, and she was talking about the learned experience, or the group experience, and being applied to a problem, and it's very efficient, it's very effective, because it's sort of like everybody has stopped checking each other. Everybody's checking to make sure, like, not checking, but everybody's sort of backing each other up by looking at what's happening and making their comments, you know. So their way of thinking about it is, this is efficient and it's kind. And if you tell somebody, if I told my wife that that's what had happened, that this woman had told me, "Don't put the rubber in the fire because it'll make a bad smell," her reaction is, "Oh, isn't she kind?" You know. If I tell my Australian friend, his reaction would be, you know, "Duh." But we have to be polite, and this happens a lot. It happens a lot. Another common one is Abunai, so dangerous. Another one is if you do something here that you do all the time in your own country and you know it's safe. You know, if you're in a park somewhere and there's really nice grass, and you decide to take your shoes off and walk around and enjoy the grass under your bare feet, at least one person's bound to say, "Oh, Abunai." It's usually somebody in your group. So if you're there with a group of people, or if you live in a community, it might be someone of your neighbours. So they figure that anybody that's got any sort of group connection, it might just be another citizen. You know, you might not know them at all. It could be a total stranger. And, you know, it's example with the shoes. Take your shoes off and you're walking around in the park barefooted going, "Oh, isn't this nice?" And it's possible that someone's going to say to you, "Oh, Abunai, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. You might step on something sharp." You know, and it's like, for a foreigner that can feel like, you know, I'm not 3 years old. I'm not 3 years old, you don't have to tell me it's dangerous, but this is what happens. This is what happens. And it's another one is when you see, I'm giving you lots of boring examples, but it's just examples. I think examples help give a clearer picture of what it's about. Another example is cars. When people are driving cars, if they're in some small space and they're moving their car and they're trying to reverse the car and get it out of a small space, often, and I'm going to make a video about this, another video about this, but often what they'll do is the person's friend or someone else, some random person, will stand beside the car and tell you, you know, it's okay, oh, more a little this way and more that way. And I know we do that sometimes in other countries too, but here they'll do it when it's blaringly obvious. So you'll be in a car park somewhere and you'll be backing out, and you know, you're fine. You look behind you, you can see where you're going. Oh, it's all okay. And you're coming back, and before you know it, there's some old guy standing beside you going, "It's okay, it's okay, it's okay." And you go, "Who are you? Who are you?" "I know it's okay, but you oh, thank you. You know, they do it all the time. They do it all the time. And anybody that's a professional at anything will be even more inclined to do it. So, for example, you go to a gasoline stand, service station, petrol station, gas station, to get, you know, to do something, and they'll see something about your car. "Oh, Abunai, you know," and it's something that you're well aware of yourself. You know it's not dangerous. And this is another thing, is the standards here about what is dangerous and what is not dangerous, or the thinking here about what is dangerous and what is not dangerous is different as well, you know. Last year, it's a bit of a sad thing, but last year there was a Japanese lady at Niagara Falls in America, and she was sitting on a wall at the top of Niagara Falls with an umbrella, and sadly she fell off and went over the waterfall and died, you know. And it's very sad, of course, but I thought it was interesting that they said that she was holding an umbrella, and I can easily imagine that, because the Japanese idea of, you know, they think the sun is dangerous, because of course, you know, it can lead to skin cancer, but these guys are extremely cautious about the sun, and extremely cautious about the rain. So if it was a sunny day or if it was a rainy day, that's why she had her umbrella. Now, a Japanese person would consider not having your umbrella in the sun or in the rain to be dangerous, and someone would say, Abunai, but she was sitting on the top of a wall next to Niagara Falls and didn't stop to think that might be dangerous. So it's an extreme example, but you guys will, if you know, those of you who live in Japan will have experienced this, you know, that you're doing something that's perfectly normal, like walking in the sun, or like take your shoes off in the park, or something like that, and some Japanese person will tell you, Abunai. Or, you know, you'll see kids here riding around on the passenger seat of the car with their face against the windscreen, and so many people here do it that nobody stops to think that that might be Abunai, you know, that might be dangerous. So the point of this video is that when this happens, it's really difficult. And a lot of the stuff that I talk about on these videos, lots of people, you know, that haven't been here yet, or that have only spent a short time here, say to me, "Oh, it's easy, I can do that, I can do that." The point is, if you live in Japan for a long period of time, these things, sometimes they arise and it doesn't matter, you know. Sometimes the old guy appears and he's telling me that it's okay, keep moving your car, and I'll, "Oh, thank you," you know, and I find it a little bit funny, and I said, "Oh, thank you very much," you know, and drive away and don't give it another thought. So sometimes these things don't matter, or, you know, someone's telling me, Abunai, you know, it's raining, you should have an umbrella, and they do. I've been told that before, you know, just some really light rain, and I'll be walking out to my car and someone will say, Abunai, you know, take your umbrella, and it's like, So, and it doesn't matter. But the reason I make this video is that there are times where the timing's not good, where you're tired or you're in the middle of doing something really important, or you know, the timing, these things can catch you out. If they catch you at the wrong time with one of these things, that's when it can be a real challenge, where your natural reaction, and it doesn't matter how long you live here, if you've grown up in another country and you come and live in Japan, you can think, you can logically reason and understand the difference between the cultures, but when it actually happens, sometimes it's the feeling. And there's videos I've made about all these topics that, you know, I tell you all about it, but when it happens to me, if the timing's off, it can be really, really difficult. And even though I know that in Japan, you know, that this is just normal and he's being kind, and logically I tell myself that person's just being kind, the feeling is still the same as it would be in my old country. If my next door neighbour in Australia told me, hey, don't put the rubber in the fire, you know, it'll smell bad, I would have said, you know, dude, I'm not stupid, you know. So when my neighbour in Japan tells me that, that's my feeling. I feel insulted. I feel, even though I know she's being kind, in Australia, if someone said that to me, it would be because that person thinks I'm stupid, or that they think they're smarter than me or something, you know. So it's just a different way of thinking. It's not the way the Japanese people see it. They just see it, that person's being kind. And if they already know, they say, oh yes, I don't know. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? You know, it's no big deal for them, but it can be for us. So we have to be, I'm just telling you this one because if you're here for a period of time, you're likely to encounter it. You're likely to someone's likely to tell you. The example I use to my friends, I was explaining to my Japanese friends, I was saying to them, you know, if somebody told you, hey, don't go outside without your pants on, how would you feel? And they were laughing, they thought that was really funny, you know, oh, you know, haha, that's funny. But that's sort of what it's like for us. It can feel like something that's really simple and really obvious that a 3-year-old would know, and then someone's telling me that, it's like, you know, come on, I'm not stupid. So the point of this video is to remind all of us, me included, that when Japanese people do that to us, we have to thank them. And again, extending on the other videos, if you don't, if someone, we've got to look at this from their point of view. You know, a lot of these how-to videos, people say, oh, that's ridiculous, why do they like that? It's irrelevant that it's ridiculous, it's the way it is. So if you're here, it's the way it is. And the way it is if they tell you something, you know, don't, you know, oh, it's dangerous walking on the grass without your shoes, or, you know, don't burn the rubber, it makes a bad smell. If we react badly to that, if we say, hey, I know, you know, duh, I'm not stupid, if we say something, react badly like that, they will think we're really uncivilized, because in their eyes, they've just done us a kindness. They've just said something kind to us, and if we react badly back, they're going to think we're really uncivilized. And anybody who hears a negative reaction is going to think we're uncivilized, and the flow-on effect from that in Japan can be really bad. And in my case, it was a neighbour. And I mean, last thing you need in Japan is a neighbour to be unhappy with you, because the word spreads so fast. You know, if I'm rude to one of my neighbours, before you know it, all the neighbours are going to know. And I'm going to become, you know, in their eyes, I'm going to become that rude guy that lives down the street. So yes, we must remember when somebody's telling us how to do something in Japan, someone's telling us how to suck eggs, someone's telling us how to not to go outside without our pants on. We have to go, oh, okay. Someone's telling us how to drive the car, you know, and it'll be simple stuff like that. It'll be some really simple thing, you know. So when that happens, we just have to thank them. Oh, thank you very much. Yes, that's true, isn't it? Yes, thank you very much. So anyway, I might call this video how to number 120. Duh. No, I won't. I'll call it thank you very much. That's true. Yes, thank you very much. That's very kind. Big smile. Okay, I hope someone found that a little bit interesting, and I hope that it saves one person some problem in the future if they know about that one. So anyway, more videos coming soon.